That's very touching. I am moved by what you just said. My heart just skipped a beat. Really, he said. Our talk had sure become conversational in a hurry. You know what I mean, Gary. I softened my voice. I spoke as if he were a frightened, anxious patient. Certainly I do, Alex. There are a lot of people out here with guns. No one can control them if this escalates. I can't. Even you can't. There could be an accident. That we don't want. It was silent inside again. The thought pounding in my head was that if Seniji was suicidal, he'd end it here. He'd have his final shootout right now, his final blaze of celebrity. We'd never know what had set him off. We would never know what had happened to Maggie Rose Dunn. Hello, Detective Cross. Suddenly he was in the doorway, about 5 feet away from me. He was right there. A gunshot rang from one of the rooftops. Seniji spun and grabbed his shoulder. He'd been hit by one of the snipers. I leaped forward and grabbed Seniji in both arms. My right shoulder crunched into his chest. Lawrence Taylor never made a surer tackle. We fell hard to the concrete. I didn't want anyone shooting him dead now. I had to talk to him. We had to find out about Maggie Rose. As I held him on the ground, he twisted around and stared into my face. Blood from his shoulder was smeared over both of us. Thank you for saving my life, he said. Someday, I'll kill you for it, Detective Cross. Part 3. The Last Southern Gentleman. Chapter 44. My name is Bobby, she had been taught to say. Always her new name. Never the old one. Never, ever Maggie Rose. She was locked inside a dark van or a covered truck. She wasn't sure which. She had no idea where she was now, how far or how close to her home. She didn't know how long it had been since she'd been taken away from her school. Her thinking was clearer now, almost back to normal. Someone had brought her clothes, which had to mean she wasn't going to be hurt right away. Otherwise, why would they bother with the clothes? The van or truck was filthy dirty. It had no rug or covering on the floor. It smelled like onions. Food must have been kept there. Where did they grow onions? Maggie Rose tried to remember. New Jersey and upstate New York. She thought there was also the smell of potatoes, maybe turnips or sweet potatoes. When she put it all together, when she focused her mind, Maggie Rose thought she was probably being held somewhere down south. What else did she know? What else could she figure out? She wasn't being drugged anymore, not since the beginning. She didn't think Mr. Seniji had been around for a few days. The scary old lady hadn't been there either. They seldom talked to her. When she was spoken to, they called her Bobby. Why Bobby? She was being so good about everything, but sometimes she needed to cry. Like now. She was choking on her own sobs, not wanting anybody to hear her. There was only one thing that gave her strength. It was so simple, but it was powerful. She was alive. She wanted to stay alive more than anything. Maggie Rose hadn't noticed that the truck was slowing down. It was bumpy going for a while. Then the vehicle came to a full stop. She heard someone getting out of the cab up front. Muffled words were spoken. She'd been told not to talk in the truck, or she'd be gagged again. Someone pushed open the sliding door. Sunlight burst in on her. She couldn't see anything at first. When she finally could make something out, Maggie Rose couldn't believe her eyes. "Hello," she said in the softest whisper, almost as if she had no voice. "My name is Bobby." Chapter 45. It turned out to be another very long day in Wilkinsburg, Pennsylvania. We interviewed each person who had been kept hostage inside the McDonald's. The FBI, meanwhile, had taken custody of Sinigi Murphy. I stayed over that night. So did Jesse Flanagan. We were together for a second night in a row. Nothing I wanted more. As soon as we got inside a room at the Cheshire Inn in nearby Millvale, Jesse said, "Will you just hold me for a minute or two, Alex? I probably look a little more stable than I really feel." I liked holding her and being held back. I liked the way she smelled. I liked the way she fit into my arms. Everything still felt electric between us. I was excited by the thought of being with her again. There have been only a couple of people I can open up to. No woman since Maria. I had a feeling Jesse could be one of those people, and I needed to be connected with someone again. It had taken me a while to figure that one out. "Isn't this weird?" she whispered. Two cops in hot pursuit. Her body was trembling as I held her. Her hand softly stroked my arm. I had never been a committed one-night stand type, and I thought that I probably wouldn't start now. That raised some problems and theoretical questions that I wasn't ready to deal with yet. Jessie closed her eyes. "Hold me for one more minute," she whispered. "You know what's really nice? Being with someone who understands what you've been through. My husband never understood the job." "Me neither. In fact, I understand it less every day," I joked. But I was partly telling the truth. I held Jessie for a lot longer than a couple of minutes. She had a startling, ageless beauty. I liked looking at her. "This is so strange, Alex. Nice strange, but strange," she said. "Is this whole thing a dream?" "Can't be a dream. My middle name is Isaiah. You didn't know that." Jessie shook her head. "I knew your middle name was Isaiah. I saw it on a report from the Bureau. Alexander Isaiah Cross." "I see how you got to the top," I said to her. "What else do you know about me?" "All in good time," Jessie said. She touched her finger to my lips. The Cheshire was a picturesque country inn about 10 miles north of Wilkinsburg. Jessie had run in to get us a room. So far, no one had seen us together at the inn, which was fine by both of us. Our room was in a whitewashed carriage house that was detached from the main building. It was filled with authentic-looking antiques, including a hand loom and several quilts. There was a wood-burning fireplace, and we started a fire. Jessie ordered champagne from room service. "Let's celebrate. Let's do up the town," she said as she put down the phone receiver. "We deserve something special. We got the bad guy." The inn, the corner room, everything was just about perfect. A bay window looked down over a snow-covered lawn to a lake slicked with ice. A steep mountain range loomed behind the lake. We sipped champagne in front of the blazing fire. I'd been worried about the after-effects of our night in Wilmington, but there were none. We talked easily, and when it got quiet, that was all right too. We ordered a late dinner. The room service guy was clearly uncomfortable as he set up our dinner trays in front of the fire. He couldn't get the warming oven open, and he nearly dropped an entire tray of food. Guess he'd never seen a living, breathing taboo before. "It's okay," Jessie said to the man. "We're both cops, and this is perfectly legal. Trust me on it." We talked for the next hour and a half. It reminded me of being a kid, having a friend over for the night. We both let our hair down a little, then a lot. There wasn't much self-consciousness between us. She got me talking about Damon and Janny and wouldn't let me stop. Supper was roast beef with something masquerading as Yorkshire pudding. It didn't matter. When Jessie finished the last bite, she started to laugh. We were both doing that a lot. "Why did I finish all that food? I don't even like good Yorkshire pudding. God, we're having fun for a change." "What do we do now?" I asked her, in the spirit of fun and celebration. "I don't know. What are you up for? I'll bet they really have neat board games back at the main building. I'm one of 100 living people who knows how to play Parcheesi." Jessie craned her neck so she could see out the window. "Or we could hike down by the lake. Sing Winter Wonderland. Yeah, we could do some ice skating. I ice skate. I'm a wizard on skates. Was that in my FBI report?" Jessie grinned and slapped her knees. "That I'd like to see. I'd pay real good money to see you skate." "Forgot my skates, though." "Oh, well, what else? I mean, I like you too much. I respect you too much to let you think I might be interested in your body." "To be absolutely truthful and frank, I'm a little interested in your body," I said. The two of us kissed, and it still felt pretty good to me. The fire crackled. The champagne was ice cold. Fire and ice. Yin and yang. All kinds of opposites attracting. Wildfire in the wilds. We didn't get to sleep until 7 the following morning. We even walked down to the lake, where we skated on our shoes in the moonlight. Jessie leaned in, and she kissed me in the middle of the lake. Very serious kiss. Big girl kiss. "Oh, Alex," she whispered against my cheek. "I think this is going to be real trouble." Chapter 46. Gary Saniji Murphy was remanded to Lorton Federal Prison in the northern part of Virginia. We began hearing rumors that something had happened to him there, but no one from the Washington Police Department was allowed to see him. Justice and the FBI had him, and they weren't letting go of their prize. From the moment it was revealed that he was being kept at Lorton, the prison was picketed. The same thing had occurred when Ted Bundy was imprisoned in Florida. Men, women, and schoolchildren assembled outside the prison parking area. They chanted emotional slogans throughout the day and night. They marched and carried lighted candles and placards. "Where is Maggie Rose? Maggie Rose lives. The beast of the East must die. Give the beast the chair or life." A week and a half after the capture, I went in to see Saniji Murphy. I had to call in every chip I had in Washington, but I got in to see him. Dr. Marion Campbell, the warden at Lorton, met me at a row of gunmetal elevators on the prison's 6th floor, the hospital floor. Campbell was in his 60s. He was well preserved, with a flowing mane of black hair. He looked very Reagan-esque. "You're Detective Cross?" He extended his hand and smiled politely. "Yes, I'm also a forensic psychologist," I explained. Dr. Campbell seemed genuinely surprised by that information. Apparently no one had told him. "Well, you certainly have some pull to get in to talk with him. It's gotten rather complicated. Visiting rights with him are a precious commodity. I've been involved with this since he took the 2 kids in Washington. I was there when he was caught." "Well, I'm not sure if we're talking about the same man now," Dr. Campbell said. He didn't explain. "Is it Dr. Cross?" he asked. "Dr. Cross, Detective Cross. Alex, you pick." "Please come with me, Doctor. You're going to find this most interesting." Because of the gunshot wound Saniji got at McDonald's, he was being kept in a private room in the prison hospital. Dr. Campbell led me down a wide corridor inside the hospital. Prisoners occupied every available room. Lorton's a very popular place. Long lines at the door. Most of the men were black. They ranged in age from as young as 19 to their mid-50s. They all tried to look defiant and tough, but that is a pose that doesn't work well in a federal prison. "I'm afraid I've become a little protective of him," Campbell said as we walked. "You'll see why in a moment. Everyone wants to, needs to see him. I've received calls from all over the world. An author from Japan had to see him, a doctor from Frankfurt, another from London, that sort of thing. I get the feeling there's something you're not telling me about him, Doctor," I finally said to Campbell. "What is it?"